I'm so happy to talk to Michelle MacEwan, who I've spoken to before, and then we couldn't find the recording, Michelle. So I'm so grateful that you're coming on with me again. Tell us a little about yourself and what you do.
Oh my gosh. A little about myself. I am really passionate about the wild, about defending the sacred, which is all life. So not just humans, but all life. And I think really importantly for me is helping people to recognize their place in the natural world, that we are nature, not separate. And that I think part of our ability to experience that wholeheartedly is when we are consciously on our spiritual pathway. Because, of course, everyone's on their spiritual pathway, even if it's not a conscious thing. But I believe that we all have our own unique and intimate relationship with the divine. And I love helping people to discover that, or to really deepen into it, and to understand that within us all are the answers. So we have this deep wisdom, and I love to help people access that, to remember their own roots, to regrow those mystical roots, and I suppose get a whole different perspective that's outside of the 9 to 5, the going to work every day, coming home, making food, falling asleep. That when we make room for a spiritual practice, it really grounds us, and it orientates us to the whole of life, which I think is really, really important. When we realize that we're part of the cycle of life, it brings such a deep enrichment and fulfillment. And I know, not just from the people in my membership, people who come and work with me, come on pilgrimages with me, but even on social media, the feedback I get all the time is that wanting a sense of belonging, of knowing that we're part of something. And a lot of people ask me, what do you think is the purpose of life? And I think the purpose of life is to experience life itself. And when you open yourself in that way, then you're really consciously on your spiritual pathway.
Michelle, tell us a little bit how you got to where you are today. You really are a spiritual coach, you're a guide. You have very successfully, you're guiding people through different channels on a daily basis, often with your beautiful mantras. Tell us how you got to this place.
I think it's just my lifelong story. I come from a long lineage of natural healers, and I know about that because I grew up with the stories. My family, the MacEwan family, are from the Highlands of Scotland. That's my mother's family, and my father's family are from West Island. And in my mother's side of the family, the women especially, but not exclusively, have what the Highlanders call the sight, or the gift, or that ability to move between the realms of spirit and the physical realm, what we call in Ireland the other world, and this world, this reality. And so I grew up with all the stories of the healers, those who'd gone before me, and how they practiced. And it wasn't like I was sat down and told, but there were just stories. I remember when Auntie Ginny did this, remember the woman that, you know, these kind of stories that would just emerge in my life. So I didn't think about it as anything different, or it was just our life. It's just everyday life. But I grew up with those stories, and I've always had a very powerful imagination, and that ability to see in. And imagination is a really important part of the spiritual pathway, any creative pathway. And when we create that is our spiritual expression. That is, creating is like a form of prayer, really. And the spoken word is my thing. My voice is my thing. You can, like, yes, my hands, I can do healing work with my hands, but I find my voice conducts an energy that people find healing, soothing, reassuring, steady. And that's something that the spiritual pathway is about practice. It's all about the practice and being of service, and they become one in the same thing. And in the end, you don't have to think about, oh, I've got to do my practice now. You're just doing it every moment, every breath, or you're doing it all the time. The spoken word for me is really powerful. When I was young, I found it really hard to speak in front of people, and it was very challenging. And I got sick of it, and I decided to challenge myself, and I went to all sorts of lengths to become confident to say meaningful things out loud in front of other people. I could say them out to nature, to the birds, to the sky, to whatever, but to a group of people, it was really scary. So I decided to challenge myself, and I never looked back. I started traveling around the world, speaking to groups big and small, and leading pilgrimages and just all kinds of things that I find that I love. And something that I started doing at the end of 2018 was making videos and short film, and with a very talented young filmmaker, as a way to express the spiritual pathway, to share the prayers and the blessings, and show that we don't just have to reserve a moment that's like, now this is my special moment to pray, but to be outside in nature, or going about the house and just saying the blessing, or focusing on the way we're stirring the cooking, just allowing, the good thoughts to go into the cooking, that sort of thing. So I guess it's just part of my everyday, and that's what I share. Really, how I live my life, how I express my values and my virtues as a service, and I make films about that, just to share with people that just be aware in your everyday life. That is spiritual. And all those films they're on my new website, which will be launching soon. So that's pretty exciting too. So yes, I think that's the long answer. The short answer is it's just natural to me to do it. I grew up with it in different ways, and I just developed my own way. Because I really believe that oftentimes there's things in our life we're called to do, and we find them really hard, really challenging, and we just have to do it. Like, I was called to speak in front of people, and it was really challenging, and I had to overcome it, which I did by having singing lessons and singing in front of people, which was scarier than speaking in front of people. And it made speaking in front of people seem a hell of a lot easier. So where the challenge is usually where the gift is, when we work with it.
Absolutely, Michelle. Thank you for saying that so beautifully. Michelle, you have an unbelievable following for these beautiful blessings that you put out into the world. So to me, and many others in your sort of field, there is a real following starting. It seems as if people are really looking for this intentional way of living. What is the thing that motivates you most in sharing your gifts?
It's probably multi-leveled. As you know, one of the things that I also do is wildlife rescue and rehabilitation, and I specialise with the wallabies that live in my area, and we often raise orphans. When we take in an orphan, it could be with us for 18 months, a couple of years even, depending on how small it is when it comes in. And when you bond with these animals, because imagine they live in the pouch 24/7 until they reach a certain size and they start hopping out. So the first 4 or 5 months of their life, they don't even see daylight. They're in this pouch, which is a perfect environment. It's perfectly sterile. It's got everything they need, different size teats as they grow. Mum cleans them, everything, and they're with mum. So they're not alone. And when mum dies, they're heartbroken. And we take them in and they bond with us. And they really love you and we love them. And it's incredible, this love. And it's so pure and beautiful. And I learned, and of course I was doing my work long before, but this is such a great example, because what becomes really, really apparent is the three things that we really need to survive: love, safety, food, in that order. And that's what makes the difference. If you're not capable of providing that for a fragile, incredible wild animal, it's really incredibly illuminating. And I'm so passionate about the wild. So part of my motivation is to help humans to find that appreciation again for their place in nature, to remember that they are nature, because part of my teaching is it's about beauty. Traditionally, with the Highlanders and West Irish, the Gaelic people, beauty was a really important part of life. That if you look at all our old prayers and words and phrasing, it's recognizing the beauty that is in everything, ourselves and all around us. And so in helping people to come into a place where they love and accept themselves, and as a practice they can see the beauty within and the beauty all around them and have the gratitude, something shifts, and then it's much harder to destroy nature. And so I think helping people to have that sort of self-discovery of their own inner resources, because within us all are the answers, within us all is a teacher, etc., etc. And that when we go within, and the inner journey is one of my big teachings, that we discover that inner beauty and we start to love ourselves. And that is the most protected place that we can ever be. That self-love protects us. But it also then translates out into that outer world. And when we start to really commune with our environment, with our ecosystem, then we there's a love affair going on. And so look at that beautiful tree. Isn't it incredible? Oh my gosh, we're not going to cut that tree down, are we? We're going to defend that tree. And I am an activist at heart. So I'm a spiritual activist as well, an environmental activist. And I really believe in that big picture, and that life is a journey. And when we work between our inner world and our outer world to harmonize them and interlace them, then we really are living life as a journey. And I'm really motivated to help people to understand that they may have terrible trauma, they may have had terrible things happen in their life, but when they can see that nothing is ever for nothing, that when we have this interweaving and we're moving forward and we're living in the now, in this present moment, we're not attached to the past takes its rightful place in the past, and it becomes part of our wisdom that we have to share. It's not something that we keep recreating over and over in our lives, because we've accepted it's happened. It's part of the journey. But that really motivates me to help people to come through that and come out of it stronger and feeling protected. I think protection and the ability to face change and welcome new beginnings, and that's a lot of feedback I've had on social media, all the things I do about a new way of being, protection, inner strength, those things people are hungry for, and that's my territory.
Michelle, I think you've said something so powerful, and almost seems to me as if you've just said another dimension to, or another solution to the environmental challenges we face as mankind on Mother Earth. So, this dimension that, of course, we have to be activists and we have to change a lot of the things we do. But what you just described is that by harnessing people's love for themselves and the love of their place in nature, that's really the other avenue to get people to bring about that change. So I think that's very powerful.
Mm.
Michelle, what do you think is your biggest quality, the quality that you love most about yourself and that also, um, you know, helped you get to the position that you're in now?
Um, that's a real, that's a big question. Depending on what mood I'm in, would change how I might answer that. I think I've got, and I've had a lot of trauma, like we all have, but I've got a strength, an inner strength, and an incredible love of life, all life, not just humans. When I speak about life, I'm speaking about all life. And that life is a journey, it's an adventure of the soul. And as a child, the mystical has always spoken to me. And then growing up with the environment I had only amplified that. So I've got a natural draw to the unseen realm, the spirits. I've always heard the spirits, the messages from spirit. And, as a small child coming to Australia from the UK, the wonder, I'm full of wonder and awe. I've got a lot of belief, self-belief, and I think, yeah, inner strength is probably that inner strength coupled with that ability to see through the physical and what's presenting, that awareness, that clarity of what's going on. I've always had that ability, but to say what's my greatest strength, I'm not sure. Maybe it's my voice and being able to give voice, because something I do know that I'm very good at is giving voice and expressing things that many people find unexpressible or too intangible. I don't have any problem with navigating between the two worlds that we live between, the inner and the outer world, or as the Irish would say, the other world, the spirit realm. And my background growing up with lots of old stories and teachings about what we call the old ways in Ireland and Scotland, that's threaded through with the mystery and living with the mystery and understanding it, that knowing without knowing how you know, which is what the spirit world is all about, and as we get clearer and more in tune with our own practice, our own journey, I think that we become more adept at receiving our own messages. And I love helping people to discover that about themselves too.
Yeah, you're a bridge builder, Michelle. Your voice is a bridge builder.
No, thank you.
Michelle, give us a few tips. I mean, sort of suggestions to people who are listening of how to get back to yourself, how to find that, still point
That's a
that
really
you're
good
talking
one.
about.
Yeah, I think, like one of the things, and you've probably heard it because I oftentimes with my blessings and prayers, like I make them bite size for social media, and there's certain phrases that you'll hear a lot, like circle me life for my protection. So imagine that that, you know, life is it's circular. Mother Earth gives us the gift of time, but not time like the clock or the Roman calendar, but the seasons, and our lives mirror those seasons. So becoming aware of that, that life is circular, that, you know, we move through, and we're never stuck unless we allow it. That's up to us. So when we observe, say, where the moon is, where what's happening in the cycle of life in your environment, that places you differently in life. You start becoming aware, oh, you know, night's coming, it's time to wind down, or it's time for reflection. The sun's rising, let's greet the day. How do you greet the day? That was my mantra yesterday, was greeting the day, because that's really important, because it sets the tone. So I think basically go outside, look up at the sky, sit under a tree, watch the sunset. At some point in the day, every day, go out into nature. If you live in the city, go in your garden, go to the park, the river, whatever's accessible. If there's nothing, it's just a concrete jungle, go out and look up at the sky and expand your consciousness, commune with nature, listen to the sounds. And if you do live in the city, make it a gift to yourself to get out of the city and into the rest of nature at least once a week, so that you feel yourself as part of it all, and you give yourself a moment of wonder and awe. And, you know, the wild wisdom, my pathway, is the pathway of wonder and awe. Because when you go out and you're present, even if it's just for a few minutes, something will happen. Well, two things happen. First of all, you're placing yourself in the moment. You've gone outside. You're not looking at the watch or the phone. You're looking at the way the light's moving through the trees, and the little bird that comes along and suddenly sings a beautiful song. And you catch it because you're being present to the moment. And the moment is all we really have. So in that moment, you're present. This bird sings this beautiful song, and you are filled with wonder for this tiny little bird that's singing this beautiful song in this golden, you know, light of the setting sun or the rising sun or something. And you experience wonder and awe of life. That changes everything. Once you give yourself that gift, then you see the beauty in everything. And then your heart flies open and you feel thankful. Wow, that was amazing. That's gratitude. Even if you don't say, I give thanks for this, that heart flying open, that feeling, that connection, that love, there you have it. That if you can give yourself that gift daily, that changes life so dramatically and beautifully. And what it does is, it not only does it give you that experience of being in the moment, present to the moment and all that the moment has to offer you, you're filling up with those higher virtues: love, gratitude, compassion, wonder and awe. And love and gratitude are the greatest healing forces in the world. So once we start really bringing ourselves into a place where we're experiencing it very naturally by giving ourselves this gift, the wonder and awe comes. And, you know, love and gratitude are renewable energies or resources that we have within us, and they're fueled by wonder and awe. Because wonder and awe, I mean, science tells us the power of wonder and awe. It makes us more cooperative, more compassionate, more willing to take risk. You know, there's all kinds of things. Science is bearing out a lot of what we mystics have always known. So I could go on, but I think that's my biggest tip: is go outside. Feel yourself as part of nature. People say to me, oh, I've got to get connected to nature. I'm like, no, stop. That immediately sends you up the garden path, literally, you know, because we are nature. We don't have to get connected to it. We just have to remember we are nature, like we are whole. We are whole. We just have to remember it. You hear a lot of people saying that too. I've got to find my wholeness. We are whole. We were born that way. Whole, holy, healing are all interconnected, those three words. So when you remember that you're whole. And when you take this going out and communing with nature, saying a mantra, that's why I put all those mantras and prayers out there. You can, the one that resonates with you, take it out, speak it outside, or listen to me saying it outside. That grounds you and connects you. So go outside and allow yourself to be in the moment, experiencing the nature, communing with the nature, and feeling the love and gratitude. It will change your life.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for that beautiful gift that you gave us just now. Michelle, what are your plans, your goals, your dreams? What is in store for you?
There's a lot going on for me, actually, at the moment. It's been a very challenging time with various things. And it is everybody I'm talking to are facing challenges. And what can we do? We can keep going one foot in front of the other. So for me, I have a brand new website. It's close to launching. We had some hiccups, so it's taking longer than I'd hoped, but it is a video-based website. So all the beautiful videos and short films I've been making will be on there. I have the membership now, which is on my old site. That's very important to me. And this new site is really membership based. So I have several calls a month. I have all these incredible resources, videos, mantras, prayers, blessings, guided inner journeys, which is one of my main teachings. So having like this massive library, I've got a huge apothecary, which I'm so excited to be able to share with my members. So that huge goal that I've been working on for a very long time now, that's about to go out into the world. That's really exciting. Last year I started live work again. I'm not doing a lot at this moment, but more and more. But I come to Ireland every September, October. I'm actually be there in August this year, and I guide pilgrimages where I teach my work, but we go outside into the nature and discover our ancestral teachings and what we want to bring to the emerging future. Do a lot of visionary kind of work, and I really love that. And that's coming up for me in a few months. And I have written a lot of books, and the first series of books, The Exordium of Wild Wisdom and the Prayer Cycles, I'm just now seeking a publisher. So, and otherwise, I'll either go that way or I will create my own Audible. One way or another, my books are going out into the world, and some of those volumes have videos to go with them. So that's my work vision. In my life vision is to keep really being part of my wild community here, and with my husband and what we create here with the wildlife, and I'm creating a lot of new programs for people always. So I guess that's and the well-being of my family, which is number one.
Oh, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your story with me today for She Can.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I know it wasn't, it's one of those things. I know our conversation last time was actually really different, wasn't it? And it was a great conversation, but it just is. And that's another thing which I'll be quiet after this. But when you can be in the moment and you can catch the energy of the day, the atmosphere of what is around you, and be with that and express that, then you are in what we call the flow.
Yeah.
And that's what we did today. This was the flow today. I didn't talk about, traveling to Australia on the ship as a little kid going through those amazing countries. I remember we spoke about that. So that's the thing. Be present to the moment and all that it has to offer.
Thank you, Michelle.